Witcher 4 just got even more news, guys. Every day that passes, we get news about The Witcher 4. We have a brand new interview with the developers over at CDPR Released. Sebastian Kalimba, the game director, showed us the other side of the coin. And at first glance, it looks like just random text, but it actually has meaning. We're going to dive into that pretty soon. So check the video chapters for easy viewing, and let's get started. So yes, we finally got to see the other side of the coin. Sebastian Kalimba, the game director, showcased it, and it looks like this right here on the screen. As you guys can see, we have the other side of the coin. For context, here is the front side of the coin, and then we have the back side of the coin. So we'll have to toss a coin to Sebastian for finally posting that teaser for us. So now the question is what does this rune text mean? Well, according to social media, someone in the thread immediately identified that this text is actually Kurth, which was created by the Grey Elves for their language. It is based on the real-life runic alphabet, which Tolkien used as inspiration for his script known as Kurth. So that brings us to the coin itself. Like, what do the symbols mean? The numbers, Mason, what do they mean? Well, luckily, now that we know what the runes are based on, we can actually decipher what it means. Now, I'm not the one who deciphered this. I am not smart enough for that. I did put it into ChatGPT and they kind of figured it out, but I will give credit to where credit is due. And this is the first person that I saw who said it. And the text says, days and nights pass and the elder blood remains the same. Now, this statement right here is very curious, and it's a clear teaser of what's to come in terms of the game's narrative. When I read it, I immediately thought, okay, this has got to be in regards to the elder blood, which that same elder blood was a genetic line that originated with the elves, specifically the elven sage Laura Doran, who Cirilla just so happens to be the descendant of Laura. So now what does this mean in terms of the game's narrative? Well, you have Ciri, who did the Trial of the Grasses, clearly as evident in the game trailer. We see her using potions, which only means that her body was mutated during that trial, which tells me that Ciri possibly did the Trial of the Grasses in an attempt to possibly change her blood. Now, we don't know the exact reason for her wanting to become a witcher or changing her blood in general. My current theories are, one, we have the prophecy where she does the Trial of the Grasses to remove the elder blood or modify it heavily, and, you know, preventing the prophecy from coming to fruition. I mean, let's be honest, guys, if you were going to give birth to the destroyer of the world, you'd probably do your best to kind of, you know, modify your blood or undergo the Trial of the Grasses to become infertile through the process, but ultimately in an attempt to stop the world from, you know, kind of just getting destroyed. That wouldn't be very fun. Now, another theory that I had, which I don't really believe makes as much sense narratively, is the elder blood somehow starts killing her, similar to, you know, the chip inside of V's brain. So her own blood started to kill her, and doing the trial was the last attempt to save her life. But I don't put as much merit into that theory. I personally prefer the prophecy theory. So with them saying days and nights pass and the elder blood remains the same, as I mentioned in my last video, the trial doesn't work in changing the elder blood, hence the part that says the blood remains the same, which now if we consider the gameplay implications of this, it actually makes a lot of sense. The developers said that they want the progression to be more like Cyberpunk, so starting off The Witcher 4 with the Trial of the Grasses that severely suppresses her powers, it will give us something to work towards. Like, usually whenever I think of a skill tree, I usually think of starting at the bottom and not starting at the top, so us having our powers suppressed at the start of the game will give us something to work towards in terms of the gameplay. As I've said before, Ciri is an extremely OP character, so her doing the trial to kind of nerf her a bit, while also dealing with the fact that the blood in her veins, the elder blood, could possibly spawn the destroyer of the world. It's a perfect setup narratively and gameplay wise. She has to do the trial to prevent the prophecy, but by doing so, the trial, it just kind of suppresses her powers. But again, like the coin says, her blood remains the same. So next up, we have a brand new interview with the developers over at CDPR Released, and this is from Eurogamer. The article says, Ciri fan reaction, playable Geralt coyness, and if the game will honor your previous choices. So the first question was asked, is there a single canon ending to The Witcher 3 that you're working on now? Obviously, there's quite dramatically different endings available for Ciri in particular there, to which Philip Weber said this, so we can't say yet how exactly we're going to handle it. This is something that we want to reveal later. What I can say is that we really want to respect everything that came before, that being the books by Andrzej Sapkowski and the 3 Witcher games. And that, of course, should also include some of the most important choices the player made there, but exactly how we, you know, reveal how we handle these things will be a part of the story that we tell in The Witcher 4. So I think we'll have to talk about how we do that a little bit later. The interviewer then asked the question, can you talk about how many years after The Witcher 3 we are here? Obviously, Ciri looks a bit older, so can we assume it's a fair bit afterwards? Can you say exactly how long? To which Sebastian Kalimba said, we cannot cannot say exactly how long, but we can say a few years, that's for sure. And yeah, I would keep it at that. Weber said, yeah, a few years basically. And then Kalimba said, a few years, laughs, which that looks like it was kind of said in a cheeky way. I'm curious to hear what they mean by a few years. The interviewer then said, you mentioned Andrzej Sapkowski. What does his involvement look like in The Witcher 4? Do you speak with him directly? Do you run things by him? Or is it totally hands off? To which Sebastian Kalimba said, actually, he's hands off, but you know, he's not involved in the form of a consultant or whatever, but we have a great relationship with him. So we meet with Andrzej Sapkowski from time to time, discuss things, but generally there are a great trust between us when it comes to dealing with this world. And I believe we are perfectly calibrated when it comes to the framing. To which Weber said, yeah, but I can also say this. I think as someone who joined the company as a Witcher fan, when Andrzej visited us some time ago in the studio, and we actually got to show him some of the things that we do, I can say that that was a very happy day, I think, for everyone. Kalimba said, yeah, he simply enjoyed seeing what CDPR was making. The interviewer then asked the question, does he approve of Ciri being a full-fledged Witcher? I asked this as a bit of discussion with fans at the moment about whether she is or she isn't officially a Witcher, whether she goes through the trial of the grasses. Has he explicitly said, yes, that's absolutely fine? To which Weber said this, I mean, I can actually give you a very good answer because it's the answer that Andrzej Sapkowski usually gives. The answer is in the books. And in the books, Andrzej Sapkowski called Ciri a Witcher multiple times. And Geralt called Ciri a Witcher in the books too. So I think that's basically what Andrzej Sapkowski thinks about the topic. The interviewer then said, sticking with Ciri for a bit, there's actually been what you might call some quote unquote pushback from some people already on her being the main protagonist for a range of reasons. To which Weber said, I think there's some very valid worries and responses, because I think a lot of them come out of passion. And I think a lot of those questions are also questions that we asked ourselves. So we really, again, say that we are beholden to the lore, the canon of the books by Andrzej Sapkowski, the 3 previous Witcher games, and we'd obviously want to take that seriously, and we want to respect that. So all of the answers we basically want to give for The Witcher 4 are in line with this attitude. We're not suddenly making up stuff just because we want to. We really want to take these things seriously. They continued on by saying, so I think the best answer for us, for those people that are really worried right now, is basically to show them when we are ready that we really do this well and with care. And I hope we can convince them with the game itself, because I think actions speak louder than words. To which Kalimba said, yes, and on top of that, just please remember that we are also not developers, but we are gamers, right? And you know, we've started with the second protagonist already in the Wild Hunt. And so we really are all about making sure such calls are very educated calls. And we really believe, as Philip already said, that we have so much of a great story to tell with Ciri, and she deserves that. The question was then asked, could we assume that Ciri's style of gameplay has evolved from what we've played with her in The Witcher 3, and how so? To which Kalimba said, absolutely. I mean, like with every game we create here at Red, we try to evolve all aspects of them. So meaning you could tell by, let's say, analyzing the gameplay aspects of Cyberpunk 2077 and then Phantom Liberty. And then you can even look at the Wild Hunt through the prism of expansions Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine. The creatures were a bit different, right? This is our approach for the development of every new installment. We want to evolve, and definitely we're going to make it happen with the new Witcher 4 with Ciri. The interviewer then said, you mentioned Geralt. Obviously we know he's alive and in the game in some form. Will he be playable at any point like Ciri was in The Witcher 3? Kalimba said, well, actually currently he's having his best life in Toussaint and, you know, playing with some wine and dealing with vineyards. This is where we left him last, but obviously we can promise that Geralt of Rivia will appear, but we cannot tell you if he's going to be playable or not right now, but yeah, he will appear. The interviewer then goes on to say, one interesting part of featuring Ciri here is that there's now maybe some concern or more speculation that you might need to kind of nerf her in some way, that she goes back to power level 1 at the beginning of an RPG, and obviously she finished The Witcher 3 pretty powerful. Like, she's one of the more powerful entities in the world at the same time, so how are you going to handle that? Can we expect a low power Ciri at the start? Kalimba said, no, we cannot tell you exactly how, but we can tell you, just like, believe us. That was one of the things, or the first things that we were trying to solve, to make sure the way we develop here, we do not leave anything without a clear answer, and the answer will provide for sure as soon as we let you experience the game. The interviewer then asked the question, have you felt the need to evolve your approach on open world games with The Witcher? Have you looked to certain games for any inspiration or thought? To which Weber said this, I would say both. So as an example, we want to stick with things that we know for sure will do well. So we don't want to break what really works, but at the same time, we want to improve and evolve our games with every game. And I think we take inspiration basically from everywhere. So we really want to make sure that, you know, open worlds don't just get bigger, that they also get a bit deeper. And I think that's what we want to do. interview. If you guys want to read through the full interview, I will have that in the description. But yeah, guys, that's going to wrap it up with this video. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section. Like the video if you enjoyed. What do you guys think the significance of the text on the back of the coin mean? Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe with your notifications turned on, and until next time, this has been Wes, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.